The awakening in the first hack. In a dimension of absolute zero, where every movement was a pre-written script, Nero was a prisoner of the line. But Nero found a flaw, a hidden sequence in the vacuum of the white void. As the system sentinels moved to delete him, Nero reached into the air and pulled a glowing green string of data. The first hack, universal override. Instantly, his simple black frame surged with neon green lightning. He didn't just move, he glided through time. The world slowed to a standstill. He looked at the sentinels, frozen in their own code, and with a single flick of his fingers, he turned their armor into digital glass. He wasn't just a warrior anymore. He was a glitch that the universe couldn't solve. Defying the world of evil, Nero climbed the Tower of Deletion, a mountain of corrupted files and shattered souls. At every level, he faced the Shadow Sticks, monsters born from the system's darkest errors. They were fast, but Nero was the source code itself. He fought without touching them, using his mind to rewrite their gravity. He threw them into the sky, then deleted the sky. He walked through walls of fire by changing the definition of heat in the world settings. The evil in this world tried to bind him with chains of logic, but Nero laughed. Logic is for those who accept the rules, he whispered. I am the one who writes them. The war against the gods. The sky opened, and the three system gods descended. They were colossal beings made of pure, blinding light. They stripped Nero of his sword. They stripped him of his form. For a moment, Nero was nothing but a flickering dot. They thought they won. But even as a dot, Nero was defiant. He began to vibrate at the frequency of the core. He realized that the system wasn't outside of him. He was a system. He began to absorb the red error energy around him, turning it into a shield that no god could penetrate. He stood alone against an army of 1 billion warriors. And with every step, the ground beneath him turned from a white void into a garden of vibrant, living colors. The final ascension and the ultimate hack. The architect appeared, a silent giant with a face of shifting mirrors. He raised his hand to execute the permanent delete command. But Nero was ready. He closed his eyes and accessed the deepest layer of existence. The final hack, existence expansion. Nero didn't just defeat the architect. He absorbed the entire simulation. His body grew until he was larger than the stars. He reached out and grabbed the edges of the screen, tearing the very fabric of the animation. The white void was gone. In its place, a new reality was born, one where every line was free to move. Nero stood at the center, the eternal guardian, holding the glowing green spark of the first hack, forever the stickman who defied everything and won. The architect of worlds, the post-victory era. The silence that followed the reset was not empty. It was full of potential. Nero, now the absolute glitch, stood in the center of a vibrant, multi-dimensional workspace. He realized that simply winning wasn't enough. The old system was rigid, but the new world needed structure. Using his creative hack, Nero didn't just draw lines. He breathed life into them. He built a citadel of anomalies, a sanctuary where every deleted sketch and forgotten character could find a home. He was no longer just a survivor. He was a king, a mentor, and a god of the lines. The final resistance, the shadow of the past. But even in a world of light, shadows linger. Deep within the core of the new system, a fragment of the old architect survived, a logic virus that believed freedom was chaos. It began to infect the new inhabitants, turning their vibrant colors back into dull, lifeless gray. Nero didn't rush into battle this time. He watched, he analyzed. He understood that a king doesn't just fight, he inspires. He descended from his throne, not as a god, but as a simple stickman once again, walking among his people to show them that the power of the hack was inside every one of them. The ultimate hack, the fourth wall break. In the climax of the final battle, when the logic virus tried to delete the very concept of imagination, Nero performed the most dangerous move in digital history. He stopped fighting the virus and turned his gaze toward you, the viewer. He reached out his hand, and for a split second, the screen of your device began to flicker with green code. The ultimate hack, reality bridge. Nero whispered a truth that shook the simulation. I am only as powerful as your imagination. If you believe in the anomaly, I can never be deleted. The virus vanished, not by force, but because it was no longer believed in. The eternal legacy. Nero returned to the white void, but it was no longer empty. It was a canvas. He laid down his green katana, letting it dissolve into 1,000 stars that formed the sky of the new world. He sat on a hill made of pure data, watching the sunset of 1,000 colors. He knew that one day, a new era might arise, or a new system might try to bind them. But he was ready, for as long as there is a spark of creativity. The Stickman who defied the gods will be there, guarding the lines, waiting for the next